Today I want to talk about spirituality and why it's important. I want to start by first explaining what I mean by spirituality. I want to define that term so that we don't get off on the wrong foot. We're all on the same page here, because I hear the term bandied about a lot, and a lot of it's discussing what is exactly meant by the term. So I want to get that out of the way first. To first start talking about what spirituality is, I want to define the core of your being. Okay, the core of your being is that which, if you cease to be that, you would no longer be you. Okay, and we all have that, whatever you want to consider that to be. Your immortal soul, some type of a spirit, some aspect of your personality, or a bundle of memories, whatever it is, then that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the core of your being. Okay? Spirituality is the way that the core of your being reacts with the totality of existence. So everybody's got the core of being, and everybody's core of being relates somehow to the outside world, the universe at large. And that's what spirituality is. And I mean, I want to point out that, everything has this core of being. A rock is only a rock until perhaps it's worn down to become a pebble, or it's pulverized into smaller stones. We no longer consider it a rock. But it could wear away a little bit here or there, and we would still recognize it fundamentally as the same rock that it was the day before, or whatever. And like my cat is my cat for whatever reason. Let's say it's his personality, it's his catness, and it's the fact that he's alive. If he ceased to be alive, then I would probably refer to the body of my cat as my cat's body. I wouldn't think that my cat would reside there anymore. And human beings, obviously, are going to have this core of being, and they're going to have this relationship. But they're aware of the relationship. Now, I don't think my cat is aware of the relationship between the core of his being. I'm not even sure he knows about the core of his being. But I'm pretty sure everybody understands what I'm talking about when I say, the core of your being. This might be a new term for you. I might be using a term that's different from what you already use. I already mentioned like soul or spirit, but that's what I'm talking about fundamentally. So it's not a new concept, and we all have that. We all recognize that, and we all recognize the fact that we have it. We all recognize what it is. We perceive that within ourselves. And that's the interesting thing about human beings, as sentient beings, we understand that we have that core, and we understand that there's a relationship between the core and, everything else. Like I said, that's different from animals, I'm presuming, because I don't think my cat feels that. I don't think my cat understands, what it is to be my cat. And, he may interact with the outside world, but I don't know that he's understanding that that's the core of his being when he ceases to be, my cat. At what point that happens, and I don't think he's aware of that. And the one thing that I'm almost certain that he's not aware of is the fact that we can change what our core of being is, or at least we can change the perception of what it is, how we perceive our core of being, what we perceive to be the core. I don't want to argue, which one it is, but because my argument is the same either way, whether it's our perception of what our core really is, and we're not changing the core, or whether we can actually change the core of our being. That's spiritual work. And that's what we can do. We can make that conscious decision. We can contemplate and say, well, who am I? At my core, who am I really? What is it that I want out of life? What is it that I want out of existence? We can look at that, we can examine it, and we can then decide, and we can try to change that core. We can try to change the core, and we can try to change the relationship. And that to me is why spirituality is just so important, because it's a quantum leap. You can change all kinds of different things. But if you change the core of your being, everything changes. I mean, you could be a petty individual that's just really concerned with status and wealth, and then you could be, a very humble person who's not concerned with those things. And they're going to react completely differently in any situation, and their happiness is going to be dependent on being in the right environment for either one of those things. I mean, in some cases, maybe you want to be that petty, materialistic individual. That might be what you want to be. I think more often, though, that as people grow older and see more of the world, they realize that that type of status isn't all that important. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think that you need to look at ancient scripture and spiritual writings from all over the world, because you see that commonality. You see that people have experienced this again and again and again, and they've come up with very, very similar ways that they want to relate to the totality and how they want to change themselves and techniques for changing themselves. And so that's why I think, spirituality, spiritual practice is just very, very important, no matter what you believe, whether you're a humanist or a fundamentalist Christian, whatever it is, changing that core to be what you want it to be. That's the key. That's the key. That's the key to your happiness, your contentment, your fulfillment. So I think that's vitally important, and I think that we need to understand, no matter where we come from in our religious backgrounds and the way that we view that spirituality, I think that we need to realize that we're all talking about fundamentally the same thing. The techniques that you might use to change your personality or that bundle of memories or your soul are fundamentally the same thing. So that we're talking about fundamentally the same type of thing. The trappings may be different, but fundamentally it's the same thing. So again, that's my take on spirituality, and that's my take on why it's important and how we might be able to harness it, to benefit ourselves and others. Peace.